Hi guys. So my article studied the role of dopamine in flight activation of honeybees, particularly virgin queen honeybees, which means that they're only a few days old. Um, this research had been done in worker bees, male bees, and mature queens, but never in virgin queens. And the researchers saw this gap in the research and wanted to study it because virgin queens have to fly several kilometers away from the colony to mate, and they actually have to mate mid-air. So they hypothesized that that would take a lot more dopamine, but it hadn't been studied. So the method that they used to study this was they had a control group of virgin queens that weren't going to be injected, and then they had a group of queens who were going to be injected with a dopamine antagonist, which would block or slow down the production of dopamine in their bodies. And then they put them through two tests. The first one was a flight initiation test. And that was they put them in a petri dish for 20 minutes after they had been injected, and then took the lid off and measured the time in seconds that it took them to take off and fly away. And then the second test was a flight performance test. And same thing, they hooked the control group up, and they hooked the injected queens onto a flight mill, and they made them do two flights, both of which were until the queens could no longer fly. And for those, they measured duration of the flight, velocity of the flight, and distance of the flight. And from this, they found that dopamine had a huge impact on the flight activation for virgin queens, because the queens who had been injected by the dopamine antagonist did severely worse on both tasks and tests than the control group did. We're talking like it took them 135 seconds to take off, like for flight initiation, when it took the control group like 50. So yeah, they did significantly worse, and that proved that dopamine really, really has a huge impact on how they fly and